Umangisuka akuwo nalo umjalo izohamba
In 1991, a man heard the voice of God, a voice that would ignite a movement that would change lives, heal souls, and lead thousands to salvation. This is the story of Pastor N.J. Sithole, the man who answered the call. From the bustling streets of KwaZulu-Natal to the quiet corners of South African villages, Pastor N.J. Sithole's journey was one of faith, courage, and an unshakable belief in the power of God. In 1991, while serving as a police officer, God called Nkosinathi Sithole to a new mission, not to uphold the law of man, but to preach the law of God. The streets of South Africa became his pulpit. He preached on buses, in trains, and in open spaces, reaching those society had forgotten.
1987, I'm a terrorist. Bafui talk to a terrorist. Ba ateka Dobsonville. It was 8 o'clock evening, 31st of July, 1987. They attacked me with a hand grenade.
He was a man on fire for God, bold, unafraid, and relentless. NJ would often say, "I am as bold as a witch," and believed that God placed him in the police force to teach him how to deal with both spiritual and physical challenges. In 1992, God's instructions were clear. Start a church. Christian Fellowship Center was born in the humblest of settings, a local primary school classroom. From this small beginning, God's Army Evangelistic ministry was established, a force dedicated to saving souls and healing the broken.
Joshua, ubo meditator ngalesi singwa lencwadi ngamayamazi lesi singwa asingasuki emlonyeni wakho wozindla ngaso ubusuku nemini.
The ministry grew rapidly. God's power was visible in every crusade. From the smallest village to the largest cities in South Africa, God's army marched forward. Miracles, signs, and wonders followed Pastor Sithole's ministry. The blind saw, the lame walked, and thousands repented and turned to Christ. He became known as the tsunami, the bulldozer, and the caterpillar, a man who could not be stopped.
We have been through storms, but she stood the test of time. She stood with me.
Boldness defined his ministry. Pastor Sithole's fearless nature took him where other pastors dared not go. He preached in the roughest parts of town where crime and violence ruled, but no fear could stop him. He used to say, "God sent me to join the police force so I could learn how to be bold in dealing with criminals." That same boldness was what enabled him to deal with spiritual battles. He was a soldier of God, and God's army was his battalion. In August 2010, at the age of 46, the world lost a giant of faith. Pastor N.J. Sithole passed away after a long battle with diabetes, leaving behind a legacy that would continue to flourish. His death shocked the nation, but his spirit and his ministry lived on.
Preach the good news.
Dr. M.T. Sithole, his partner in faith, took the mantle, leading Christian Fellowship Center and God's Army Evangelistic ministry. Under her leadership, the mission continued, fulfilling the vision God had given to N.J. Sithole. Today, the ministry stands stronger than ever, a testament to the power of faith and the unwavering commitment of a man who heard God's voice and obeyed. N.J. Sithole was more than a preacher. He was a father, a mentor, and a man deeply loved by his community. His boldness inspired others to believe, to fight for their faith, and to trust in the power of God. He was a man who called a spade, who loved fiercely and who led without fear. The bold soldier has gone to rest, but his army marches on. His legacy, his passion, and his mission continue in every soul that was touched, every life that was saved, and every heart that still beats for God. This is the story of a man called by God. This is the story of God's army.